coaching, and more. You probably heard about that some people have coaches, and the question is, do you need coaches? Is it just a trend? Is it a hype? Do companies need coaches? And what could possibly go right or wrong with coaching? And I have the expert on the matter right here. Hello and welcome, Greg Smith.
Good afternoon. How are you? It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. I mean, as the chairman, as the executive at FranklinCovey Executive Coaching, you know a lot about coaching, and you probably heard one phrase, which I'm going to give you as well. Yeah, coaching is really important. We don't have the budget for it. I'm sorry. It's a B priority. When we have a bit more money, we will have it. But when we are a bit up in the revenue, not right now. What is your
Yeah.
take on that? When
Yes.
when companies basically say coaching is a nicety, a nice to have aspect, but not a necessity. What is your take on that?
Yeah. Niels, that tells me the organizations are not looking at their situation through a realistic lens. Um, how can you not afford to tend to it now? If you have all of your leaders have the capabilities they need to execute effectively right now, given the paramount volatility, change, uncertainty, complexity, then great. Maybe you don't need coaching. And I would argue you don't need coaching. You
Yeah.
need leaders with these enhanced capabilities to be adaptive and responsive and agile right now. If they've got it, great. If they don't, we know coaching is the most effective mechanism at helping create that live, real-time, contextualized.
Mm. What is when someone says, okay, maybe we think about coaching, but we give it to people who really deserve it. So when they excel, it's like it's a bit of a bonus, bit of a perk. Do you think that's a good approach?
I struggle with that one, Niels. It's not a perk. It's not a bonus. This isn't the Oprah show. You get a coach, you get a coach, you get a
Yeah,
coach, right?
good point.
This
Yes.
this should be an organizational strategy. I need to invest in my leaders who are most critical to our success at execution, and I need to support leaders who are my high potentials, validly identified as high potentials for growth into more critical, complex, and strategic roles.
Mm. When you now hear something that people say, okay, look, we thought about coaching, but I just don't think it works. I had a bad experience here, and I heard of someone who also said they had a bad coach. So I need to justify all my spending. When I'm in the HR or people development, or however you want to call it today, I'm the head of people. I have to justify every single penny today, and I'm not sure if coaching actually works. So does it
Yeah.
work?
I would say broaden your research. I'm happy to supply you with lots of it. Repeatedly, coaching is the highest ROI from leadership development or talent development mechanisms, assets, learning, regularly achieving between 700 and 800% ROI on every dollar you spend on coaching, compared to sending someone off for an executive MBA, sending them to a weekend workshop or a certificate, or putting them in, with all due respect to all training and other assets and learning. It is proven time and time again the most effective at increasing leadership capability live real time to the exact business context of your leader, helping them increase their decision making, the speed of decision making, and it extends beyond just the impact on Niels. It's Niels's team and the broader culture. So you get a multiplicative effect in lifting that one leader.
Yeah, and this is all proven by science. And besides that, I also just a couple of years ago wrote my master's thesis on that. So I know about the science. It's proven by science. But of
Yes.
course, now here comes the ultimate point where they say, I see your point. We might need it, and I think we have the budget, but we're so busy, we just don't have the time for it.
Yeah. If you don't have the time for it now, when will you? And I like to think oftentimes not an insurance policy. Insurance policies pay out when things go wrong. I think of coaching oftentimes as a success assurance policy. If I hire a new executive or promote a new executive into a new role, we know the regular pitfalls that cause them to suboptimize or outright fail every
Yeah.
time. Shame on us. We are culpable if we don't attach to that leader, help them navigate all that change, all that new, all that uncertainty to a fully contributing, fully capable state. Coaching can do that. So if you don't have time now, I would challenge you to think about what are the risks in not supporting that leader at this given stage or the leaders at this current time.
Hmm.
Um, one specific example out of the UK was a client who was promoting a new CFO from director of finance to CFO at a time when they were going private in the UK to
Yeah.
go public in the US.
Ah,
We need to
okay.
stand this leader up, but we will do it after we go public, after he gets through. And I just screamed, "You're missing all the risks. You're missing all the risks. I just had an article published in Fast Company last month around this. What are the four identifiable, manageable risks to manage during executive transition? And it was just screamingly an oversight on their part to, if you don't support this leader now, you will have missed it by the time he gets you going public in the States.
And of course, the cost of that will be multiple times with reputation risk, with anything that can happen in public, with anything that goes
Yes,
wrong.
yes,
So now, of course, another question when people say, yeah, okay, so we see the point, but there are so many coaches out there. We are just so because anyone can call themselves coach. When you want to be a dentist,
yes,
there are very strict rules about when you can call yourself a dentist. When you want to be a lawyer, there are very strict rules from which point exactly you can call yourself a lawyer. A coach, you can say, I'm a coach. Here's my website. I do that with one of these automatic systems, AI generated. Within 15 minutes, you have a coaching business set up. So
yes.
how do I find out if the coach is right for the person that needs to be coached?
Yes, Niels, you're speaking to my heart and my passions here because everybody I know is a coach.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a coach too. You tell them what you do. Oh, I'm a coach.
In about a
Um,
month, we're going to have probably next month, we have about 300 million NFL coaches, I think. When the season picks up again, anyone knows how to do it better.
wow, what a beautiful analogy. You're right. Everybody's going to be that Monday morning coach
Yes.
after watching, and I've got
Great
my
term. Monday morning coach. Yes.
yes, exactly right. So, my guidance to anyone listening, thinking about getting a coach for themselves, their organization is in your research, find coaches who are you can see documented. They've been through professional coach training. Ideally, they are also an accredited coach. Whether that's in the U.S., there's a global ICF, International Coach Federation, that's a pretty universal standard. There are some others in Europe and the UK, and some in Asia Pacific that are more region specific. But I want to see you've been through coach training, and you, as an executive, as a professional, know the difference between when I'm coaching an executive, or I'm consulting, or I'm advising, or I'm mentoring, or Niels, and with all due respect, I'm a recovering HR person myself in a previous life. It's not that typical HR or talent person who says, "Oh, I've been coaching my entire career."
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of valuable things, but you've probably not been coaching as defined by the definitions of any of those accrediting bodies. And here's the challenge: when you mentioned it doesn't work, they're not wrong if they challenge that. Oh, I've had too many bad experiences. When you look broadly at the industry, only about 50% of coaching, air quotes, coaching that occurs achieves a result. And it's because it's the wild, wild west with a US based term here. Everybody thinks they're a coach. There's no alignment to, are you trained? Are you accredited? What's your coaching methodology? So find someone trained, certified, qualified, and understand their methodology. And then kind of the last, we always do this is, if I'm going to coach Greg, how do I coach Greg on something that's not just his agenda? How do I know it's important for FranklinCovey strategies, Greg's role in the organization, and then overlap with Greg's strengths, his development opportunities, his wiring, his tendencies? So I'm bringing those three truth points together, if you will, and coaching him on something that is relevant to what the organization needs.
Excellent. But when people now say, look, there are so many people, and I just give you an example. I saw on Facebook another ad, which of course gets targeted due to the industry I work in. Someone says a life coaching certification for $19. When you click on it, it's an online class for 3 hours duration.
Yes.
So, what to do with that? What are these certifications worth? Probably not much. But how do I know when someone says I'm a certified coach, which is again a non-protected term?
Yes.
Or they have a weekend class, which they took somewhere and they basically got the certificate. Why? Because they paid the fee.
Yes, yes. And again, I see that frequently, and I have them calling us all the time that want to coach for us. And I'm a
Yeah,
certified life coach, or I'm a certified such and such executive coach.
yeah.
Are there a certified coach given specific instruments we use in coaching or in talent development? And so if I'm certified to be fill in the blank assessment coach, that's great. You're a certified feedback provider, supporting development and growth with that instrument or that tool. That does not equate you to I'm a coach or I'm an executive coach. So again, my guidance would be do a little bit of research to see if Niels says he's a coach, where did he attend training? Is it an ICF or other accredited training program that is holistic, requiring 100 plus hours
I had a
of
2 year training on
learning
that.
how.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. You're right. And then, get into interview your coach. Don't just take them at face value or LinkedIn face value. Talk to me a little bit about your coaching experience, where you've been particularly successful, where it's been more challenging, what kind of leaders and executives have you coached? What's your area of passion or strength? what's your methodology? How would you work with me? Don't just tell me you're going to coach me. Tell me more.
Yeah.
So do your diligence.
Yeah, excellent. And do you now think, let's say they do this one-to-one and they meet, and then someone gets back to you and say, I think the coach is really good. It just doesn't click for me with that person. Do you think that is a viable rejection of someone when someone says, I think great experience, I think great expertise, I think we're very well qualified, but it just doesn't work for whatever reason? Do you think that that's a valid statement to say?
I think it can be Niels. And so again, my approach, my recommendation would
I
always
fully
be
agree, by the way. Yeah, so go on.
interview. Interview two or three coaches before you choose one. For our client organizations who are, procuring coaches for a certain leader, we want to provide bios of two or three coaches and encourage them to interview two or three. You have agency in this. You choose, just like if I get to hire my own employee versus someone assigns my employee to me, I've got accountability, I've got buy-in, I have agency in this, I've made a choice. So we see a much higher I got to choose my coach. I got a feel for how Niels is going to work with me, and we fit and we align, and I feel like I can trust him. And it will take time. Even when we take an informed approach, single digit percentage of the time, two or three meetings in, we may get a call and says, it's just not the right fit. Can I change coaches? Of course. We're making a huge investment. And you've got to have that comfort, that psychological safety, that trust. Because if I can't be open and transparent, vulnerable with my
Yeah,
coach, we're not going to go anywhere.
absolutely. When people now open up, there is a certain limit, probably. Let's say when someone says, I have issues here, I have issues there, where do you think coaches can still help? And where should coaches, for example, say, stop, that is basically not coaching, that is therapy, what you're asking for? How do you, because you know these kind of coaches who tell you, I can help on absolutely anything. And that, of course,
Yes.
is not a viable option. And that's, by the way, not only unprofessional, unethical, it's straightforward, dangerous for these people. But how to
Yes.
spot that? How do I spot that limit?
Wow. That's really good, Niels. So, again, my opinion and
Yeah.
our methodology would be anytime we kick off a coaching engagement, if we're coaching Niels, we're going to meet with Niels, his boss, and your HR or talent partner so we can get alignment on what are the objectives. We have our true north. What does success look like? What are we working on? What are our objectives of our coaching journey together? We know that's organizationally relevant. We know that's what's most important for Niels and his success and the organization's impact. And we know it's not going to vary off into, psychological or mental health issues. If and when that comes up, again, a trained coach has been trained when to identify we're getting off into things that are mental health issues, and I call time out. We even as simple as, can I meet with my coach every week? That's therapy. No, every 2 weeks is about the right cadence
Yeah.
because you need time to go practice new behaviors. And if I'm feeling I need to meet with my coach every week, you're creating some unhealthy codependency, or you're perceiving this as a different kind of engagement and intervention versus coaching.
Yeah. Excellent. So when you now look into the future, because it's going to be a crowded marketplace, more and more people try to join, most of them, of course, not very successful, leaving the market after a couple of months, and then others show up. What, in your opinion, especially when it comes to leadership development, is the future in this fast changing world of coaching as we see it right now?
Wow, to say we are being profoundly impacted by the volume of change and uncertainty and interdependence on all the macro and socioeconomic and political factors is a profound understatement. Uh, Dispersed workforces, generative AI, all those things are disrupting, but also shaping where we're going. And a couple things. One is that means the leaders need to be more agile across a number of capabilities and factors and resilience, more so than we've ever seen before. What's required of leaders to be successful is accelerating at an astronomical pace. So being able to keep up with those is going to take more than just our standard programs.
Hmm.
The profession and the role of a leader is changing at such a pace that the industry of leadership development and training and coaching has got to likewise pivot and move with it. Everything we do as a learning and development industry has to be embedded in the way people work and learn every day, small bites, right?
Hmm.
Niels is going to go take off and attend a week-long course. When? That's not going to happen. And oh, by the way, by the time he finishes that course, what's happened back in his real job that's shifted what he really needs to focus on? Or I'm going to send Neil off for this, executive MBA. That's good and great, but that's going to be a generic leadership event versus what's very unique and focused on you and your needs and contextualized to your
Hmm.
organization. So it's got to be embedded in the way we learn and grow. It's got to be super agile to flex. So whatever we're training folks on is bite-sized, just in time, and reinforced in a way that encourages and holds you accountable for applying new skills back real time. Or it's just, I learned something and then the old Ebbinghauser curve, I forget 90% of it in 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So of course now people often wonder, with the experience you have, and let's face it, FranklinCovey is a world brand, and anyone knows that brand. If you haven't heard of that brand, you haven't been in the industry. Very simple. So what are the impacts you have seen? Because I think that's something which is extremely interesting for many. What are the impacts you have seen in executives who are, let's face it, they are not short of confidence. They do not
Yes.
fall short of strong opinions, and they're not
Yes.
sitting there and saying, I'm an open book, ready to change anytime. They probably,
Yes.
especially on executive level, say, look, I'm in this industry for 20 years. I worked my way up. I know how the game goes. So you try to change me. I wish you good luck from here. So
Yes.
what are the impacts you have seen with coaching in the real world? Are you allowed to give us a couple of examples here?
I can, yeah, I absolutely will. Two come to mind, and leave names and organizations out. But one is an example of a massive global law firm. Um, got a conversation because they've been referred to us by another law firm. We tend to coach a number of
Hmm.
attorneys who are trained to argue, to be right, right, to be very
Yeah.
opinionated, to be
Yeah.
strong, to lead with the fist. But I got a call. They've been referred to us, and the president of this law firm said, "I've got one of my senior partners brings in the most revenue of any other partner in the organization, but she is literally leaving dead bodies in the wake. She is
Mm.
virtually creating a hostile work environment around her. Can you help?" And I said, "You're the attorney, so I'm going to give you all the legal footnotes here, right?"
Yeah.
Number one, if it's creating a hostile work environment, that's a whole other issue. Is it that, or is it she's ruffling a lot of feathers and you're genuinely trying to help her? Second would be is don't expect change. This person has been highly successful for a very long time in their career, and this is one of those executives behaving badly.
Yeah.
Those are very tough turnarounds if they are ever effective. There are very few that are. This one was an interesting one because this leader, this partner was absolutely unaware. No one had ever really given her feedback about how she was showing up to others. So I
Mm.
said,
Ah, interesting.
I want to help you recognize that I want to limit your expectations of what may or may not occur. It's highly dependent on her, and you giving her a hard message of like you must change. Or in short, the coaching with her like immediately started like, let's do something very short just to see if she will lean in. Very quickly, she leaned in. Her eyes, we raised her self-awareness. We opened her eyes to the blind spot. She had no clue that kind of the key thing. How are you showing up to others? How do you think you are? She thought she was fantastic because she's bringing in all the revenue. When she learned, it was like, oh my gosh, like broken heart. I had no idea I was upsetting people. I had no idea people had such a negative, horrible, terrible opinion of me. And over the course of 6 months, she began to change. Over the course of a year, massive turnaround. And it was so gratifying for the president to call and go, Greg, I thought this was the worst waste of money I'd ever spent. Worst. The best investment I ever made because she's my highest performing. And now she's performing even higher. And she's bringing people along with her now rather than turning them over and leaving dead bodies in the wake.
Yeah. Excellent. So when people now think, I think this might be for me, and there might be two kinds of people who now think of you. Number one are the people who think, how can I become a coach? And I mean a really good qualified one. And the other
Yes.
person might be the person who thinks, I think I need coaching, and how can I get in touch with Greg? So how can I get in touch with you, your brand, your organization?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. You can connect with me anytime directly on LinkedIn, Greg Smith, comma, Franklin Covey. Should pull me up. There's probably a few Greg Smiths. The other would be go to franklincovey.com. We have a tremendous amount of assets, learning, point of view documents, self-serve, uh, I don't know, value pieces for you. If you specifically want to learn more about our executive coaching, franklincovey.com/coaching. And you'll see the whole suite of a range of coaching solutions. I'm happy to chat. Our team is happy to chat anytime and help you explore whether you want to become a coach, and what's that path look like, or if you'd like to explore coaching for yourself or your organization.
Perfect. These are the final words we see. There's scientific evidence to coaching and has a massive value and the highest ROI on every dollar spent, every kind of currency spent when you want to develop your leaders. At the end of this podcast, there's only one thing left for me to say. Greg, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. My pleasure. What a treat. Thanks so much.